Hello, welcome to Simple Spanish Sentences. This is the 20th video in a playlist on Spanish verb tenses and moods. In it, I'll share some sentences that show how to conjugate regular Spanish verbs in the conditional tense that end in AR, ER, and IR. These three types of verbs will be covered together since they're conjugated the same way. The conditional tense has a few different uses, and in this video, I'll use it to describe what one would do in a hypothetical situation. To illustrate this tense, the three verbs I'm going to use are to buy, which is comprar, to eat, which is comer, and to write, which is escribir. Conjugating regular AR, ER, and IR verbs in the conditional tense involves one step. We simply add the appropriate ending to the verb, as illustrated in the chart below. And the following sentences will illustrate how this is done. I in Spanish is yo, and to conjugate this, we add I with an accent, a. So to say I would buy, comprar becomes compraría. To say I would eat, comer becomes comería. And to say I would write, escribir becomes escribiría. Because this is conjugated the same way as the he, she, and you form, I'll include pronouns in these sentences just to emphasize who would be doing the action. I would buy a house is yo compraría una casa. I would eat with her is yo comería con ella. And I would write a book is yo escribiría un libro. You in Spanish when speaking to one person informally is tú. And to conjugate this, we add I with an accent, as. So to say you would buy, comprar becomes comprarías. To say you would eat, comer becomes comerías. And to say you would write, escribir becomes escribirías. You would buy a house is comprarías una casa. You would eat with her is comerías con ella. And you would write a book is escribirías un libro. He in Spanish is él, she is ella, and you when talking to one person formally is usted. To conjugate this, we add I with an accent, a. So to say he, she, or you would buy, comprar becomes compraría. To say he, she, or you would eat, comer becomes comería. And to say he, she, or you would write, escribir becomes escribiría. Because these are conjugated the same way, I'll include pronouns in some of these sentences just to clarify who's doing the action. He or she would buy a car is él or ella compraría un carro. Maria would eat with them is María comería con ellos. And you would write a letter is usted escribiría una carta. We in Spanish is nosotros or nosotras, and to conjugate this, we add I with an accent, amos. So to say we would buy, comprar becomes compraríamos. To say we would eat, comer becomes comeríamos. And to say we would write, escribir becomes escribiríamos. We would buy a car is compraríamos un carro. Pablo and I would eat with them is Pablo y yo comeríamos con ellos. Maria and I would write a letter is Maria y yo escribiríamos una carta. You in Spanish when speaking to multiple people informally and in Spain is vosotros or vosotras. And to conjugate this, we add I with an accent, A-I-S. So to say you would buy, comprar becomes compraríais. To say you would eat, comer becomes comeríais. And to say you would write, escribir becomes escribiríais. You would buy a bike is compraríais una bici. You and Pablo would eat with us is tú y Pablo comeríais con nosotros. And you and Maria would write a novel is tú y Maria escribiríais una novela. They in Spanish is ellos or ellas, and you when talking to multiple people is ustedes. To conjugate this, we add I with an accent, A-N. So to say they or you would buy, comprar becomes comprarían. To say they or you would eat, comer becomes comerían. And to say they or you would write, escribir becomes escribirían. They would buy a bike is ellos or ellas comprarían una bici. Pablo and Pedro would eat with us is Pablo y Pedro comerían con nosotros. And you and Maria would write a novel is tú y Maria escribirían una novela. And finally, to review these conjugations, for yo it's compraría, comería, and escribiría. For tú it's comprarías, comerías, and escribirías. For él, ella, and usted it's compraría, comería, and escribiría. For nosotros or nosotras, it's compraríamos, comeríamos, and escribiríamos. For vosotros or vosotras, it's compraríais, comeríais, and escribiríais. And for ellos, ellas, and ustedes, it's comprarían, comerían, and escribirían. That's all for this video. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you did and would like to support this channel, you can do that in a number of ways. Also, if you noticed any mistakes, feel free to let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching, and take care.